No black hats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen.
Welcome to your favorite show. It's the Perfect Parlay Pursuit. We are going to break down Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov, UFC France. It's going to be a big card coming up. Not this weekend, my birthday weekend, the weekend where the planets will align. I don't know if you guys heard my birthday weekend. The planets will all line up. They'll be visible if you are into that sort of thing.
Would they all be visible if they all lined up?
That's the thing. I don't really know, but I've just read the headline. But what what I took from it? I'm a very special boy, and because it's on my birthday, it means good things for me. And if I believe it, it is true. So we're rolling with that. It's a blessing for me. And I was blessed this weekend. I was eternally blessed. UFC 311, UFC 311, Los Angeles, California. Islam Makhachev versus Renato Moicano, a fight we did not get to break down because it changed the day before. We'll get into that. We'll recap this card. I had a big night of winnings posted in the open bet sheet. So if you are a subscriber to our Patreon, patreon.com/perfectparlaypursuit, you're in the Patreon and you have access to the link that is a Google sheet, the link that gives you our open bets. You would have seen the bets that I posted that won me over $2,000 this weekend. We're going to talk all about it. But first, let's check in with our two lovely boys here. Alex, the Euro Under King, Dan, the Bet Man. We'll start with you, Alex. How was your UFC viewing experience for UFC 311? I know you were up in the mountains, hitting the slopes. Not a metaphor. You were doing some snowboarding. How was the weekend? How was your watch experience? What was going on in your world?
Great. Enjoyed the fights. Didn't come away with any money. Missed the first three fights. Was still at the slopes. Came back a little late. So I'm gonna need to hear what happened about some of those because I was lost after I heard Clayton Carpenter lost. But yeah, I didn't really bet too much on them. So I actually just watched the fights and enjoyed them. Didn't come away with any money. Lost a little money, but we're here.
So Dan, how about you, man? Were you watching the fights? I was really messaging a lot in the group chat, and you weren't really responsive. I kind of thought like you were doing one of your Dan things, and you were at some kind of family get together or some girlfriend drag him out thing that you had to attend.
No.
Is he just not? Is he hiding the fact that he's not even able to watch? He knows how disappointed I would be if he was able to this.
Not at all. I really, to be honest, did not watch all that much at all. Not because of any event that was pulling my attention, but it was really just me. I looked at the fight card. I don't know, there wasn't really all that many fights leading up to it, but I didn't have fight fatigue. I just looked at the card. I was like, what's the name value on this one? I don't know. I guess I'm a name value guy. I'm not a quality of fight fan anymore. I don't know. I just looked at this and I thought, there's football odds. We got playoff football on. I want to look at that. I want to dabble in that a little bit with my money as well. So I went very light with the gambling, went very light with the viewership. And I don't know. Was it an entertaining card? I see a couple knockouts here and there. I'll tell you from the gambling perspective, I was doing pretty well up until Almeida and Spivak. I had the over 1.5. I thought it would be a grappling just grappling affair that would go over. And man, 7 seconds away from making it to the second round. I didn't even see it, but I saw. I was like, dude, could have made it to the second round, caught a second wind, and then made it for 2.5 minutes. But yeah, man, not all that special for me. Just watching some football. Had a great time. It was fine.
So you didn't buy the main card. You didn't watch the pay-per-view?
No.
Wow. Oh man. Well, I'll take you guys through. Hey, don't worry about these two because I have plenty of thoughts, comments, and gambling winnings to showcase for the viewing audience. So, where do we start? Alex, you said you missed the first 3 fights. So I, like you, we was P certified Clayton Carpenter. I think a lot of that was due to just Tagir Ulanbekov not showing up for fights. I think somebody said he missed 6 fights he's pulled out of, in the UFC. He's missed weight a bunch, and just overall not super impressive with him, or impressed with him. I thought Clayton Carpenter fought valiantly, did really well. Didn't necessarily win every round, kind of just lost out on some grappling exchanges, but that's neither here nor there. I lost some parlays with him, but not too many, really. I think I had him in 3 parlays. Each just were like long parlays with all of my picks. So like all of them were like $10, $10, $10. So went down about $30 with Clayton Carpenter, but I did do kind of a hedge position play with Tagir. And I basically I had Tagir in one of the ones that I had that won. I'll show that in a second. But Bernardo Sopaj, Ricky Tercios. Sopaj just kind of was landing the cleaner shots. Tercios was coming forward a lot, but taking a lot of damage. And Sopaj would have little grappling moments here and there where he ended up on top. Really just exactly what we predicted, the cleaner, better, more technical striker, fighter, and better game planner. Only really thing that kept Tercios in the fight was his cardio and his volume. But like I said, he was eating a lot more shots than he was landing, even though he was throwing a lot. So thought this decision was good there. Where I really cleaned up, my first win of the night was Muin Gafurov. So I came on this show. I was very confident in Muin Gafurov, very confident to say even by knockout. I thought it was going to be a mismatch. When I looked at Shinya Nakamura, now listen, guys, I'm not somebody who fades Shinya Nakamura. I picked Shinya Nakamura in every fight he's ever been in the UFC. I was very confident that he would win his first fight against the not as athletic, not as decorated guy from his home, area. But one thing that I knew, and I knew this with utmost confidence, was that his strength schedule was weak. When he has in the past had some opponents in the UFC that were somewhat good, not even really like outstanding fighters, he went to a decision. And Muin Gafurov had a little bit more UFC experience, a little bit tougher strength of schedule, from Tajikistan in the UFC for a reason, a country that is, getting its pride going, a lot of support from the locals. And I just knew Muin Gafurov would at least be able to nullify the wrestling to some degree. I knew he wasn't going to get absolutely grapple fucked, even though this kid was an Olympian or a national champion or whatever the hell he was in Japan. I was like, that doesn't really mean as much in the UFC. You see the better wrestler fail to be able to take the guy down a lot. Like what came to mind for me was the previous weekend. You had the really good wrestler that we talked about, who was the kid who fought our boy Christian Rodriguez. And, he wasn't able to do much with his amazing wrestling pedigree against a kid with none. So that was sticking out in my mind. So I had a solo play on Gafurov, missed some closing line value with my play. I bet him at that plus 330, $100 to win $430. Boom, that cash. I did also throw $100 on him to win by knockout at 11-1. He knocked Nakamura down in every round. He almost finished him in almost every round. He kind of, the only kind of bit of criticism I could give Gafurov is like a little bit less high five and smiling at him, being excited to be there and in the fight and respecting your opponent, a little bit more killer instinct, getting in there and finishing him. But hey, Nakamura was swinging back hard, and he could have ended up getting what's the guy, Judo Thunder, who was going in for the kill and got slept by Cesar Almeida. So, that could always happen too. So overall, no complaints with Gafurov. Got the win. I had him in 1, 2, 3. I had him in 2 parlays and a solo shot. So he won me 330 right back, right then and there. I had about 500 out on the night. So to win back 100 of that 500 that I bet plus 330, I was basically almost to break even just with his win. And then I had a 3-leg parlay. Let me share my screen. I'll show some of these real quick. This is very exciting. Everybody get excited. We had, so yeah, can you see this okay?
Yep, perfect.
Gafurov, that was my big win there. And then this 3-leg parlay, like I said, I had Clayton Carpenter in 3 long shot, like 9, 10, 11 leg parlays. So I was like, let me just at least get something going on the other side in case that one falls through. So I saw they're all from a profit boost. I said, let me throw 3 pretty stable picks and an underdog in there. I really thought Eileen Perez, very confident there too. Absolutely confident, especially when I heard Carol Rosa was playing or training in Brazil at a women's all-female gym nonprofit that she started with a couple other Brazilian women. I was like, okay, so she's out here helping fucking chicks who can't even afford to come to a gym learn how to bat Brazilian men off after a night at the bar. Like, this is not going to go well for her. Eileen Perez is so locked in, so focused. Loved the juicy line on Perez. And yeah, so this one hit after the right after I hit the Muin Gafurov fight. So 40 for 267 plus the 430 here. I was above break even at this point with a bunch of plays still in play and a diversified type of play. So I had like a couple that like, okay, well, if Holland wins, I'm still in it. If Holland wins, I have a chance with either Hill or Yuri. Like I really diversified some of those closer lined ones on both sides so that I would come out ahead no matter what. And the fact that Muin Gafurov advanced and Aline Perez advanced and Grant Dawson and Topaj advanced a lot of these parlays, it led me to have value. Like I did still need to hit those early wins in order to have all these ones in play without like costing me money, right? Like, because if you just bet on everybody, you're not going to win anything. But so the fact that I had all my first picks win and then a couple diversifications at the top really put me in a pretty much no lose scenario for the rest of the night. This one got voided because I took Arman and Moicano here. So that probably, looks like Arman would have fucking lost. So this one probably never would have won if that fight remained. But so Paj, Gafurov, and Renier de Ritter, the final cash out was like 580 for this. So I left $300 on the table, but you'll see why I did it. They were all for me 268. I was like, look, to be able to throw 268 back on top of the already profitable night would be great. Plus, I was kind of thinking Renier de Ritter looked sloppy when he was striking against GM3, and Kevin Holland is pretty pinpoint with his strikes, and he's a black belt allegedly under Travis Lutter. So if he can, he's also really scrappy off the bottom. He was scrappy off the bottom in this fight, like you've seen with him against Jacare. So I was like, Kevin, he's kind of he's backs a little bit against the wall here. He might chin Renier de Ritter if he comes in sloppy. So I cashed this one out because I had this one still active with Renier de Ritter and Yuri. So my thinking here was if Kevin Holland doesn't win, if Renier de Ritter does win, this one will be even more juicy and I'll be able to either hedge out or cash out on Yuri if I decide to. I didn't end up doing that, but this was a 4-leg parlay that became 3. Muin Gafurov, Renier de Ritter, and Yuri Prochazka, 100 to win $1,621 on top of already winning back everything I bet, on top of already having about 300 or 400 in profit made for before we even got into the co-main event. An excellent night. So as you guys know, last week I was down, or 2 weeks ago I was down 1,200. I didn't win anything on the Mackenzie Dern card, lost about 300, 400 bucks there. Ended up being down like $1,600. This brought me way above that break even or that $0 mark and into where you see my total now. So we're working our way back into this race and this game. For those of you who don't know, we started with $1,000 in the sportsbook account in May when our season begins. So we started the show May 9th, 2020, when Tony Ferguson fought Justin Gaethje. That was season 1 of the Perfect Parlay Pursuit. In that season, I hit a perfect parlay, 6 episodes, 6 events into us starting this journey. And now here in year 5, we've started something a little different. $1,000 deposit, seeing how much we can turn that $1,000 into over the course of a full calendar year for us, May to May. So we're 5 months away. I know what you're thinking, Luke, you've lost $700. Well, that has been as high as $4,000 this year, back down to 0, back up to 2,500, back down to 0, under 0, and now we're back up to 300. So it's been a roller coaster, but I'm looking to finish way above 1,000 in May. Mark my words, we're headed there. Do not cry for me. Then with all this profit, I could make some plays going into the co-main event and main event. So I threw 121.06 on Marab before the fight started and got the win there. So put another 260 or so on top of that 2,000, and I didn't get crazy in the main event. I sprinkled a little bit, like $50 on 1.5. I threw like $50 on Renato Moicano, and I said that's it. Throwing $100 on this fight. Both of those lost, but no drama. Had a really, really fantastic night. Now let's get into some of these fights and kind of what happened with them. So like I said, Muin Gafurov, amazing performance. Aline Perez, great performance. Grant Dawson, great performance. Bogdan Guskov got his back taken in round 1 for the whole round and ended up reversing the position, going for a choke himself, almost getting it, almost getting it as the bell rings. Round 1 ends. You probably give it to his opponent, Billy. But by the start of round 2, Billy was so gassed. He literally pretty much just found a way to quit in that fight. Like he backed himself up against the cage, was taking a lot of shots, went down to his knees, was getting punched, but was still covering up. Really just looking for the ref to stop it for a TKO. But Bogdan couldn't really land clean, so he eventually just gave up his neck, and Bogdan got a choke. He tapped instantly. Billy completely gassed out, gave the choke up. Bogdan Guskov gets the win there. Zach Reese.
Strong first round, though, for Billy. And he
Yeah,
came in
strong
on super short notice.
Yeah,
So
but
he was probably fading. He had Bogdan's back the entire time.
yeah, you'll probably get some really good odds on him if he fights again in the UFC, and they'll probably give him a really shitty opponent, and he'll probably win his next fight. I would say that. Dan, the Zach Reese fight was kind of hilarious. So Bokayev, he basically gets a takedown and starts doing some insane ground and pound, really, really good ground and pound, and kind of like gets him pretty much knocked out, but not like all the way knocked out, like good TKO stoppage. And the ref comes in to separate them, and as he does, he like slingshots Reese's head into the canvas. A guy who's already been slam knocked out, pretty much got slam knocked out again by the ref. As the ref separating him, he creates the space and kind of pushes him down, and he slams Reese's head into the canvas. Boom! And goes out cold for a while.
What?
Yeah, real.
That's crazy. I didn't hear about
He needs to contact a lawyer about this and take this up with the commission, because that was it was brutal. I saw it. I was like, damn, double knockout. That's rough. He was landing some pretty good shots off his.
Who was the ref? Some local guy?
It was
Yeah,
a
I'd
new
never
kind
seen
of
it.
ref that nobody's ever heard of. Yeah, like
Okay.
kind of like one of the Spanish or Brazilian refs, like not nobody that you've heard of before, really.
Gotcha.
But he was
Sorry.
landing some pretty good shots off his back. But big problem is when you're having success off your back, you're not as desperate to get up. And I feel like he kind of got lulled into a false sense of security there, and ended up getting cracked by the ref.
dangerous game.
Worst of all.
Dangerous game because you're not, if you're able to hit them from your back, they're able to hit you, and you're the one who has nowhere to go behind you.
And of course, Joe is like sucking him off because he's hitting these shots from the bottom. And it's like, I'm done with Joe. I've said it a million times. I can't stand the guy anymore. I'm over this experience. I'm done with the whole Joe Rogan experience, the Rogiverse. I'm done with it all. I don't want anything to do with any of it.
Yeah, I still love Joe, but he is just
The only one I can, the only one I like.
too artistic in his commentary these days. It's just a little too, like, before, the thing that made Joe Rogan's commentary unique was that it was like, it was different, but now it's like a little too different. You know what I mean? It's getting a little.
How could it be different? I hear steel tie cups every single time. I hear about leg kicks. I hear about people forget, man. People forget what Tony Barcelos can do, man.
You're right. It's almost like it was so different at the time that it was unique, but now it's not changed in a way that has made it like it's kind of left him behind a little bit in a weird way. I don't know. It's not, and it always seems like he's walking on eggshells. It always seems like Joe, it's very clear and obvious that he doesn't pay as much attention to the sport as he used to. And a lot of his guys, like, happens to all of us, right? In a lot of ways, like a lot of the guys he kind of grew up having intimate knowledge of aren't there anymore. And there's a new crop that he's not keeping up with. And it's no fault of his. He's a billionaire. He's got a lot of shit going on, fingering a lot of pots. And it's just like, you can't knock him, but it's almost like he's kind of fearing about getting exposed at any minute, and DC's a busy guy too. So,
he's busy stuffing his face with popcorn in between every single line that he speaks during the broadcast.
Yeah, so I don't know who really could solve the problem, like who would be like somebody tapped in, No,
he wants Joe there. He wants Joe there pontificating about fucking steel tie cups for as long as possible so he can shovel some tendies in there too. He's like, what can give me the most time to eat and get paid at the same time?
And Anik is just manic Anik. He tries to be a little too cool for school in there, like, and he'll just say some shit that's just like, not right now, Anik. Like, I'll get to that later, but so yeah, after that fight,
you dirty motherfucker, you Yankees fan. Anik is a madman.
I mean, I'm more so referring to how, like, at the end of the Merab and Umar fight, he's like, how about a rematch of that fight? It's like, shut up. Like, now is not the time to talk about that. Like, we're celebrating Merab. Stop narrative. Just narrative generates a little bit too much. But anyway, Peyton Talbot, Honey Barcelos is the fight after that, and boy, was that satisfying to watch. I mean, look, I said I'm not going to step in front of Peyton Talbot's hype train. I'm not. I said I was impressed by him, but it's not like we all didn't want to see something like this happen. You know, you love to see an old vet come in there and just give the Zoomer what for, and that's exactly what happened. Honey Barcelos completely dominates him in the first round, gets a takedown, takes him down, smothering him. And at this point, the line has moved significantly, but Honey is still an underdog. I throw $67 on Honey live at plus 138 to win $88 back or something like that. And that cashed. But I mean, he was an underdog for a while dominating the fight because it started so wide and people were expecting, okay, well, round 2, Honey will gas, Peyton will get off on some striking. It was 30-27 across every judge's scorecard, 30-28. 30-26 on one judge's scorecard. Peyton Talbot got taken down like a hot knife through butter. He had no takedown defense at all. Didn't do anything off his back. Got smashed in the third round as the fight was ending. Was almost getting TKO'd. It was beautiful. Love to see it. When you got a sussy bussy, sometimes the bus goes home. You know, the bus the tires go flat. You know what I mean? So, you know,
sometimes you flip your truck.
Yeah. Hey, how many chicks you fuck? So
be cool.
So at that point, you know, big fight comes up for me, big bottleneck fight to get through. I'm already pretty much well in the profit. Honey Barcelos paid for my pay-per-view $88. The girls Perez put some money on top of my break-even point. Gaffarov got me to break even. We're living high off the hog. But I cashed out my parlay with Sopaj, Gaffarov, and RDR. And a lot of what made me do that was like, I don't want Gaffarov's hard work to go to in vain if Renier loses. So Renier wins, and in amazing fashion, just like takes Kevin Holland down, chokes him out. Kevin's putting up a good fight off his back, throwing punches, but Renier gets past all of them, and Kevin tries to shake him off. He's got his back, tries shaking him off. Renier has an amazing.
The way his eyes opened, he looked like Ma. You know, Octavian Spencer Ma. He opened his eyes so wide. It had a look of terror on it that I loved more than anything. It was great to see, especially after how he came at Rampage earlier in the week of this fight, I believe, right? He did the podcast the week of this fight and starts coming at Rampage all hard, trying to talk to him about, he pretty much was like threatening Rampage that he was going to shoot him. Like on the podcast, he was like, I get an ego about guns. What caliber do you shoot, Rampage? Da 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 da. And it was some weird stuff. Very, very weird stuff. Didn't like it. Didn't like the cowardice. Rampage would beat the shit out of him.
It was kind of like a kid like Breaking Bad on his dad when he gets home from college. You know, like, well, I'm a man now, Dad, and I don't have to listen to you anymore. I went to college. It was like,
yeah, I didn't like it at all.
Rampage is unk, bro. Like, chill out. Like, have respect for your uncle over here, Uncle Rampage, and just like be happy that you're, on the podcast. Like, Rampage did great things in Japan, in America, champion.
Yeah, don't come at him and don't come at TJ Dillashaw. It's sitting here and the biggest cope session in the world after that argument where he's like, I don't want to be champ because I want to be able to walk down the street and people not know who I am and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, buddy, relax. You don't want to be champ because you can't be champ. And you've fooled yourself into thinking that you have now won because you have taken the championship out of your goals.
He's been this way. He's self-defeating.
Can't lose scenario for you.
Yeah. So. And he said he'd be surprised if Renier submits him. And Renier said, I'm going to submit him in the first round. And that's what he did. I think you'd be surprised. Anyway, so Renier gets the choke. We move on to Almeida versus Spivak. Kind of funny because I'm sitting there. My wife goes, who do we have in this fight? I go, bit of a no-bet situation for me. I don't have him in any parlays. Really just didn't want to bet on Sergey Spivak. Didn't see a ton of value at the time when I was making my picks, so I just left them both off all of them. I didn't place a bet on this one, and I got all my profit now. And the next fight's the more important one, so we're just enjoying this one. And then because she said it, it just eats a hole in my brain as I'm watching, and I'm like, I'm gonna bet on Sergey Spivak. So I throw $100 on Sergey Spivak. And
Addiction.
yeah, and then like he does really well. Like he gets him down first. Like he gets Almeida down. He's like smothering him, and then all of a sudden Almeida gets up, tags him, and Sergey he gets hit. He really wears hits. He's a wincer, as McGregor would say. He's a wincer. He's like, what the hell? He's like crying like when he gets hit or whatever. So it was like really bad. He gets pounded out, and he's like, from the moment he gets hit, it's just all bad body language. You know what I mean? He just is giving the ref a million different chances the ref's giving him, and he's just not displaying any body language, doing this, getting teed off on from back mount.
Right at the end of the round too, it's like that's where like
they probably could have, if he was given a little bit more body language, they could have kept it going. But he was giving the ref a lot. Like the ref was giving him a lot of leash, and he was giving the ref nothing back.
And you gotta
he was
know
surviving
that
for a while
you
though.
Hear the clap.
He was surviving for like a minute.
But the survival was an entropic journey. It was like, he's surviving on his feet while doing nothing and displaying bad body language. Then he goes to the ground, and it's the same thing. He was never really like scrambling. You know what I mean?
Ugh.
So, and then he loses, and I go, what? 7 seconds left? Oh my God. And she goes, thought you didn't bet on it. I'm like, I did. I was like, you made me think about it, and I did. And she's like, how much did you bet? And I'm like, nothing. Stop talking to me. And then then the next fight happens, Yuri versus Hill.
Oh,
amazing fight. Yuri, first of all, the walkouts were amazing. Yuri walks out. Dude, Hill walks out to Not Like Us in LA. You know, he gets in the ring, cool. Then Yuri walks out, and it goes from like Kendrick Lamar, you know, certified lover boy, certified pedophile. You know, it's like Kendrick Lamar being like hype and getting, and then it just goes. The arena was sick too, by the way. You see like this red light goes completely dark, and it's like, oh, like that's the sound that Yuri's like walking out to. It's like super ominous, super dark. He comes out, he's looking locked in. Gets in the ring. There's an amazing stare down. Oh, you saw the fight, right?
Oh, it was fantastic. One of the best fights I've seen in a long time.
Really? It was that good? Like
it was a sick fight. So Yuri wins round 1, busts his nose, busts his eye, wins round 1. Round 2, Jamal gets a thumb in the eye. Clearly an accident. Like it was like a punch where the thumb grazed his eye. He's pretty much fine. Less than a minute, he's back fighting. Then he just pokes Yuri in the eye, like on purpose. Straight up, like fingers like this, out like bang, like gets him deep. And Yuri's like, fuck, like it takes like 3 minutes. And the doctor comes in, and you think, oh shit, we're in LA. Doctor's gonna stop it, but Yuri's like, I'm good. Even the ref was helping. He was like, I think it was Beltran. He was like, yo, like give him a minute. Like he's got plenty of time, keeping the doctors at bay and stuff. Then Yuri's like, I'm good. Back in it. His eye was still obviously messed up though. Yuri probably loses round 2, close round. But Jamal hits him in the body in round 2, and Yuri like kind of like retreats a little bit. Like, so you definitely give Jamal round 2. I think 1-1 going into the third. Yuri just is everything people discredit him for, like leaning into punches, like dipping into punches and hitting him with his head. He's dipping punches. He's everything's whizzing by him. Jamal's hitting nothing but air. Yuri's eyes are so locked in, and he just boom, sends him to the floor. He starts pounding him. Jamal gets up. Boom, sends him to the floor again, swarms him, hits him, ref stops it, it's over. I go crazy. I just won $1,600. Best fucking fight ever.
Damn, that's a great feeling. Sounds like a great fight. I'm happy for you. That sounds great. I got it.
It was awesome. And then only to be
all would have been well for me if Umar could have won by decision. That was all I had left on my parlay. But alas.
How much for?
I would have won like $500-$600.
Oh, sweet.
But how much did you have to bet on that?
Not a lot. It was a parlay. It had Yuri.
Okay.
It had a few of the people.
Is your number accurate? Are you really minus 75?
Yeah, I didn't bet a lot this weekend.
Okay.
And I had a free bet as well that I bet.
So, but here's the thing, Alex. Like, I know we all said Umar was going to win on the podcast, but I did kind of change my mind as it was getting closer. The more I kept seeing all these like fly-by-night handicappers on Instagram Reels and TikTok, like with their face super close to the thing, and they're like, "This is the can't lose parlay: Tajiru Ulanbekov, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Islam Makhachev. Can't lose." And then I just kept thinking about us talking about it. I was going like, "How is it really plus 100 to get all 3 of those guys?" I'm like, one of them is going to lose. And I knew at that point it wasn't going to be Islam. And I knew at that point it wasn't going to be Tahir because he already won. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I think Merab, somewhere around the press conference with the way Merab was getting everybody fired up, I'm like, man, Merab, and seeing how he was dressed and in the arena and everything, I'm like, Merab's going to fucking win this. I was like, Merab is going to win. He's so motivated. He probably lost rounds 1 and 2, I think. Got a little bit rocked in round 1. But overall, close rounds by the significant strike numbers. But the difference is, in the first 2 rounds, Umar was the one going forward, and Merab was kind of backing up. So you're like, okay, Merab's probably going to lose. Round 3, though, turns it around, pushes forward, going for takedowns, push him against the fence, landing shots. Even DC and Rogan and Anik are like, he probably won that round. Umar goes back to his corner looking defeated. Then round 4, same story. Round 5, now Merab is like cheering up the crowd. He's dumping Umar on his ass, and like mocking him and taunting him and just pushing. And Umar looks broken. Body language terrible. Going back to the corner on the Khabib's yelling at him. He's on the stool looking terrible. Merab is like fresh, fine, moving. Merab was so fresh, he didn't even take his gloves off in the post-fight press conference. He still had his gloves on. No shirt, gloves on. I mean, Merab was like, after the fight, he looked like he could fight again. He was like, I told my wife, I'm like, this guy is putting on a pace and a level of cardio I have never, ever, ever seen before. Breaks George St. Pierre's all-time takedown record. Truly inspiring, truly amazing to see a guy underdog holding his own title, underdog to the challenger, undefeated challenger, Khabib Nurmagomedov in his corner, last name Nurmagomedov from Dagestan, loses the first 2 rounds, wins the last 3. So inspiring, and it was even more inspiring what he said on the mic. He goes, of course they're good. They had Abdullah, all respect to the late great Abdullah Nurmagomedov. They had him since they were boys, training them. Of course they're good. I was working construction. He's like, and nobody believed in me. He's like, but I believed in myself. And I could retire today a happy man. I could die today a happy man because I believed in myself. And there were moments in my camp, my back was hurt, my leg was hurt, I had infections. I couldn't get up out of bed some days, and I just had to push myself to do whatever I could. I believed in myself. I worked hard, and I won.
Love that. Yeah. Hearing him be like, oh, like, Nurmagomedov was talking about a broken hand. I had a broken back. I'm like, geez, what the fuck?
I broke my back.
Crazy.
I thought Umar won personally. I thought that he won 1, 2, and 3. It was, but I wasn't too upset with the decision. I thought I personally believe that round 4 and 5 mean a little bit more. And, you definitely can't debate that Merab won rounds 4 and 5. The first 3 are kind of either way. Actually, no. First 2 definitely for Umar. I think the 3rd round, it could have went either way. And didn't get the nod. Heartbreaking.
So much to learn from this fight if you're a fighter and even a human being. I mean, I loved at the post-fight press conference, Merab said, I was so hurt during my training camp. There were days where I couldn't do stuff. I had to do whatever I could. There were days I didn't want to get out of bed. He's like, I tried to go to the PI. They tell me, no, Umar's here. You can't come in here. He's like, I tried to go to the PIs, closed on Christmas, closed on New Year's. He's like, there were just so many things in his way, little things, things that we all deal with. Like, we make excuses all the time. Every human being does. Like, well, it's Christmas. Well, it's the New Year. But for him to have to push through all that and admit he did, and you see his ungodly level of cardio and you think he's a superhuman, but for him to put real human struggles, bring them to light and say, this is what I was dealing with, and I believed in myself. And I mean, it really inspired me. And then from a fighter perspective, just knowing how, don't give up if you're down on the scorecards. Keep going, reset, say, I'm going to win the 3rd round. And then we'll worry about the 4th round on the 4th round. But I just need to get 1 right now. But I just need to get 2. Hey, now it's tied going into the fucking main. Like, it's when you eat an elephant 1 bite at a time. Win that 3rd, win that 4th. Fuck it. Now it's a whole new fight. Now it's a 1-round fight. 2-2 going into the 5th. It's a fucking 1-round fight. And he's tired and I'm not. And he's discouraged and I'm not. And his hand's broken and mine isn't. You know what I mean? And that's how you fucking win championships. That's how you win. He's just has a winning mentality. Even DC said rounds 3, 4, and 5, Merab, even though he's friends with Umar, And DC was very impressed. And shout out to DC for being a really straight up, unbiased commentator in those moments. People say he's biased. Sometimes I don't see it. I think DC's even harder on some of his own guys sometimes. So that was great. You know, Islam gets rocked, gets dropped. Moicano almost wins. Fluke choke. Nah, I'm kidding. But good fight there. You know, hey, whatever. Who cares about that? We throw that one out. It is kind of funny that Islam has only defended his title against former featherweights or current featherweights. I mean, wins it against Oliveira, former featherweight. Wins it again, defends it against Volkanovski, featherweight. Close fight, almost loses. Some people say he did lose. Rematches him on short notice. Okay, short notice, asterisk there. Dustin Poirier, former featherweight. Competitive fight, gets a cut that he'll have for the rest of his life. You know, other people have gotten Dustin Poirier out of their way more easily. And now Moicano. 1 day notice, you know? So it's like former featherweight. Like,
that's crazy. That's crazy. I forgot all about that. That's nuts. But yeah, I mean, I didn't like that Moicano tapped out. I wish he would have at least just went out on his shield there a little bit. Like, you know, you say I hate these guys. They say it means so much to them. They know that it's such a rare opportunity to get a title shot. You have the rarest opportunity where it's on a day notice. Don't fault you at all for not being fully prepared, but at least try to fight out of the choke. Do something. Fight for my money. Fight for my fucking money, and fight for your money. Like, it pisses me off beyond belief.
Apparently, he's got collarbone, shoulder issues, so maybe that was playing a part in it. I'm not sure, but
maybe.
Ultimately, gotta love Moicano. He's the man. They said that the gate was 9.5 million when all was said and done, and then it jumped up to 10.2 million when they put Moicano in. So, good for business. Arman, what do you do? At the end of the day, he blames his weight cut for it. He says, my back really started hurting when I was cutting the weight. Hey, here's a fucking newsflash. Maybe when you're a weight bully and you're sucking all this weight out of your body to get an advantage over smaller men, that's God telling you what you're doing is cowardly and you shouldn't do that. And I'm not going to have any sympathy for you. It's like these guys who try to blame the weight cut and make it into this, like, well, I had to cut the weight. You don't have to cut the weight. You do that for your own personal reasons. Like, that. Leave me out of it. Leave me the fuck out of it. I don't want to hear about it. I'd prefer you didn't do it. And Islam Makhachev, bit of a weight bully too. It's like both these guys go up to your natural weights, fight at your natural weight. You know, I don't know what to tell you. Overall, an amazing.
They'd both be fine at welterweight. Like, pound for pound, skill for skill. Yeah, they'd be undersized, but like they could both wrestle, grapple, and strike. They have good cardio. They'd have advantages of not cutting the weight. Like, they'd be fine at welterweight. They'd do very well.
Yeah. Well, that's the card in a nutshell. I think we have a really good card coming up. A lot of spots I really like to bet. 13 fight card I said it was at a UFC Paris. It's not, just a lot of French fighters on the card, but it is going to be in Saudi Arabia. And let's see. I think this is a daytime one too.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to be February 1st, payday. First, depend on me like the 1st and 15th. And it's going to prelim starts at 9 a.m. Main card starts at 12 p.m. Prelims 9 a.m. I love it. Let's get it going. Although it is 4 days before my wife's due date, so I may be in the hospital. So we will see. Let's get into it. A lot of spots I like on this card. We'll start off at the bottom. Originally, this is breaking news. Originally, it was going to be Jordan Levitt taking on Abdul Karim Al-Sawadi, 15-4 Palestinian, the pride of Palestine, 29 years old. Now it says he was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, though, and fights out of Dallas, Texas, and so maybe, I don't know, pride of Baton Rouge, pride of Texas. I don't know. You were born. Maybe he moved back to Palestine, but he's fighting out of Texas. So there is that Fortis MMA. He's taking on the Zulu Warrior, who got submitted by Chris Duncan 3 months ago. Bolaji Oki. Zulu Warrior.
Zulu Warrior. He's got a German flag next to his name.
Yeah, Belgium boy.
Or Belgium.
Yep. And he's a Contender Series guy coming off a knockout on the Contender Series. 1 win in the UFC by split decision against Timmy Kuwamba. And 72% of Tapology is picking Oki to win this. Originally, Al Swati was a favorite over Levitt, but now I'm not seeing any odds on Tapology, at least for this fight. So let's just kind of go into it clean. I don't know. I mean, I think people were really high on Oki against Chris Duncan. I remember Chris Duncan was an underdog. When Al Swati loses, it is been by knockout 4 times in his career. His only 4 losses are by knockout. His path to victory, I mean, I see a lot of knockout wins for him too. So it would lead me to believe he's only got 2 submission wins, and winless in the UFC, coming off a loss to Loik Radzhabov, who is another Tajiki guy, a guy that I equate similarly to like Moin Gafarov. Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go with Al Swati. Hometown cooking. Oki's got a hole in his game. Give me Al Swati.
I'm going to go with Oki here. A little bit bigger, a little bit longer reach. And I like the fact that, the loss that he's coming off. I remember watching the fight, and he was dominating Chris Duncan. It was just like, he just got caught with the guillotine. I was like, just like popped out of nowhere. It's one of those things. It's like, man, if he didn't find his neck like right there, right place, right time, I think he would have surged to a victory. I think that's going to light a fire under his ass, and I think he's going to do well. You get 4 knockout losses, even in the amateurs. Like, that's a lot of knockout losses on your resume. No matter how many fights you have, 4 is a lot. And Oki is a knockout fighter. He's had a lot of knockouts himself on the offensive end of things. So I like Oki here. Time and place seems like it's lining up for him.
I'm going to agree with Dan. I think Oki, it's a fight I really want nothing to do with, but Oki's pretty big for the weight class, athletic, strong, powerful. Al Swati, if he was like, you told me he was a grappling guy, maybe, but I'm not seeing a lot of submission wins, and I'm not seeing I think I'd like to see the odds, but I'm kind of tempted to go with Oki here. So I'm going to just go Oki for the sake of the show. I think, if he gets submitted by Chris Duncan, what are you training? What are you working on in the gym? What are your coaches helping you with? Submission stuff. And all things equal, if he can defend the cage control, the ground game of Al Swati and make it a striking match, I kind of think Oki chins him. If this guy's been knocked out 4 other times, why not 5? So give me Oki, but this next fight's one I'm a lot more interested in. Heavyweight fight, Hamdi Abdelwahabi versus Jamal Pogs. Jamal Pogs, thick type, Pog type. He's the -140 favorite coming off a win against Thomas Pedersen 11 months ago. Before that, lost the decision to Mick Parkin. Before that, beat Josh Parisian. And then before that, a Contender Series win 2.5 years ago to get him into the UFC. Meanwhile, I laid the hammer on the hammer, Hamdi. I bet $500 on him to beat Dontel Mays. He ended up dominating the first round, going on to win a split decision. I was in Nashville, Tennessee when I watched that fight, and he did get the win. One of the first fights of the evening, put me up about $500. Was pretty happy. Break even odds, 50-50. Doubled my money. Had a big feeling about him just because Dan scouted this guy. He actually got him to agree to do the podcast, believe it or not. Never came to fruition, but that win against Dontel Mays was overturned for a drug test violation. I kept my money though. Haha, joke's on you guys. So I'm coming with Hamdi again. Seems like history is going to repeat itself. +110, even money underdog. Yeah, he hasn't fought in 2.5 years, but I think Jamal Pogs, they're bringing it. You got a guy from Egypt and Saudi Arabia versus Jamal Pogs from Victorville, California. One thing I know about Victorville is it's home of the Victorville Film Archives. Look into it. So I'm going with Hamdi Abdelwahabi, and going to be one of my underdog picks of the night. I like this. It started out good. I think he's going to do what he did for me last time, and I hope he's not learned his lesson. And I hope he said, USADA is gone. I'm in Saudi Arabia. Give me the juice. Give me the juice.
Ooh.
I'm taking Hamdi as well. I think both of these guys' games are a little suspect, and their gas tags are even more suspect. But I'm gonna roll with Hamdi. I think he's a little bit better, and he's a little bit better conditioned.
I'm gonna have to go with Pogues here. I think he's just a little tighter than Hamdi. I was not impressed in that win. He was losing a good portion of that fight to Dontel Mays, and I guess we could attribute it to the sauce that he had a comeback in the late second into the third round. This is a guy who has a big wrestling pedigree, but it seemed like he wasn't able to implement it at all. We were kind of talking about that early in the podcast. These guys who have these wrestling resumes, but can't do it when it comes to the octagon. I feel like that's going to be the case here and throughout the rest of his tenure in the UFC. And as far as the striking, he's one of these overhand right guys with a lot of power. Jamal Pogues, as a heavyweight, he's only had one knockout loss, which was his first professional fight, which was almost 10 years ago now. Pogues has a really good jab. He's got more UFC experience. I think he's going to be a lot faster and a lot more athletic. And I like Jamal Pogues here.
You think Pogues is a little tighter?
He's tight, real tight, like a dime.
He's fighting the Hammer, so I think the Hammer, the Hammer pounds tight Pogues. Sounds like it reminds me of a movie I saw one time. Okay, all right. Next we got
Lug.
We got Bogdan Grad versus Lucas Alexander. Lucas Alexander coming off a loss to Jekka Saragi. Before that, he had a decision win against Stephen Ocho Peterson. Before that, he got submitted by Anderson Brito. You got Bogdan Grad coming out of Wies, Austria. He is also Lucas Alexander notably missed weight by 3 pounds in his last fight that he got knocked out in. On the Contender Series, Bogdan Grad, when he was just 27 years old, he got beat by Tom Nolan. You'll remember him, knocked out by Tom Nolan a year and 5 months ago. Other than that, went on a 3-fight win streak, 2 fights outside of the UFC, got back-to-back finishes, flying knee finish in cage fight, flying guillotine submission in the same promotion, then goes back to the Contender Series, wins a split decision 4 months ago. This is his second chance. He gets first chance in the Contender Series, doesn't make it, goes to the regional show. I think, big opportunity for him. Remember his fight on the Contender Series. He looked great. I'm going with Bogdan Grad to beat Lucas Alexander and possibly get the knockout.
Congrats, Grad. You're a grad. I'm going with Grad on this one. Name the movie. $5. Spiritual dollars, not real ones.
If you actually know what Alex is referencing there, I will Venmo you $5. Comment below.
Yeah, so I'm going with Grad. He fought this guy, dude. He fought this guy named Mike as well. How fucking funny is that? Oh, I Mike as well. So I thought I Mike as well take him. I'm going with Bogdan Grad by decision.
All right.
I'm going to triple P certify Bogdan, but a little caveat, I need to look at this a little bit more. I'm not familiar with this guy's game. Resume looks pretty good. The lone loss to Tom Nolan, who's he's making his way up the UFC ranks. Anytime that these guys, they get a second chance at a contract through the Contender Series, they lose the first one, they give him another chance. This guy had a split decision in his Contender Series win. So it seems like the UFC is pretty high on him. And Alexander, I think he's, from what I've seen, pretty good Muay Thai, some snappy kicks, and, just an athlete all around, but definitely got some holes in his game and, seems to find ways to lose. So I'm going to go with Bogdan here, but not one of my more confident, certainly not a triple P certified confident level, but that's my pick.
And now I'm remembering his fight against Aswell even more. It was a split decision, and Aswell, Bogdan Grad fought through some heavy adversity in that fight, fought really with a lot of heart, and managed to get the win. I think they both might have got a contract. But anyway,
you mean he got a contract as well?
Aswell. Let me see. Michael Aswell. Let me see if he's got a fight coming up. No, he fought Dorian Ramos recently outside of the UFC. So, but they'll be looking at him. Okay, so excuse me. Jasmine Judavicius versus Jasmine Judavicius versus Mara Buena Silva. I'm not going to overcomplicate this one. She's a -215 favorite. She's looked really, really good and impressive in her last few fights. She's big for the weight class. Mara Buena Silva, bad body language, bad facial expressions, and ultimately poor ring IQ. I'm going with Jazzy J.
Yeah, MBS definitely got some quit in her, and that's not, the type of fighter you want in there against Jazzy J, who was in there to smother and make you quit. So good matchup for Jasmine Jazzy-Vicious. Let's see if it's Triple P certified.
Of course, she's a mean gal. She's got a bit of a mean streak to her. This Jazzy J. She's got some great ground and pound. I think, this one, it might not go to decision. Safe money's always on a decision in a ladies' fight. But like you guys said, MBS has some quit in her, and that ain't no BS. So, maybe run to your bookie and give him all your money and say Jazzy by finish. But I wouldn't recommend that. I don't really like betting on ladies' fights. But if there was one to do it, I think this might be one.
Yeah, and I could see her go. I could see her mounting Silva and hitting her with some 12-6 elbows that are now legal.
Oh yeah. She was the first fighter to land a 12-6 elbow, I believe.
Or was it Jillian Robertson? To the pooper.
Maybe.
You listen, and Silva is eternally surprised in there. Her face is always like she just always looks like she's shocked at what is going on in there. I don't know, something about her. Okay, next.
Great fight.
We got a great fight. Faraz Ziam versus Mike Davis. Mike Davis is a -275 favorite, coming off a submission win against Natan Levy. Before that, decision win against Vladislav Borochav. Before that, Mason Jones decision. Before that, knocked out Thomas Gifford in the UFC. Before that, 5 years and 8 months ago. Wow, long ass time.
Natan Levy, champion of the welterweight division. I don't know if you heard.
Really?
Yeah.
Based on what, birthright?
Yes, specifically.
He said, God. All right, now we're ready to get Gilbert Burns 5 years and 8 months ago. So this guy has only had 5 fights in 6 years. Mike Beast Boy Davis. Gilbert Burns 5 years and 8 months ago submitted him. That was his 5 fights ago for Beast Boy. So 12 fights total over a long career. 32 years old, 5 years older at a weight class lower than 170. 5 years older than the young buck Faraz Ziam, who just fucked up Matt Fervoli. You'll remember that because Ray Longo said, "Turn around." He turned around. So shout out to Ray Longo for that one. Man, I
all time video.
Yeah, in the amount of time it's been since Beast Boy has fought 5 times, Ziam has fought 5 years ago. That's 2020. Ziam has fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, only 7 fights, but he's a lot younger. So,
who you going with, Luca?
I'm going with Ziam. I'm going with Ziam big time here. I think Ziam looked so fucking good against Fervola, dude. He looked really, really fucking good everywhere, too. I think Ziam's coming into his own. I think that Mike Davis is good, but I think I'm going to ask you the same question I asked last time. Who wins a boxing match? Faraz Ziam. What's this fight going to be? It's going to be a fucking kickboxing match. So
no, it's not. Have you ever seen Mike Davis fight?
I think that Kill Cliff FC, what they're doing with Christian Rodriguez, what they're doing with what they've done with Pettis, I mean, they are really good at getting a striker fine-tuned and good at defending those takedowns. I think Beast Boy.
Did you say Anthony Pettis?
Showtime. Oh no, Kill Cliff. Well, I'm thinking of. Why did I think that? Who's the head coach in Wisconsin in Milwaukee?
Rufus.
Duke Rufus. When I see Kill Cliff, I think Duke Rufus because Duke Rufus is there, right?
No, Henry Hooft is
Henry
skillful.
Hooft. Okay. Henry Hooft, Duke. That's where the wires got crossed there. Henry Hooft, Duke Rufus, similar.
Both
name.
kickboxers.
And they got that kind of Dutch kickboxing style.
Well, Henry Hooft is Dutch.
And I think Duke Rufus is too.
American.
He's just straight up a Wisconsin boy. But I think there's like Wisconsin, Dutchland, Netherlands. Like
yeah, they call it Wisconsin Dutch.
Yeah, Holland, cheese, Holland, Wisconsin. There's got to be a connection that caused me to think that they're like the same guy.
No, you're thinking of Kevin Holland.
That was funny because he said he's like, hey, this guy might be from Holland, but I am Holland. Okay, so yeah, I'm going with Raziam. Call me crazy, but I think he dots Davis up. I think Davis strikes with him just a little too long. By the time he's going for those takedowns, it's too late. And I think he tires himself out trying to get the takedowns. His muscles are built for show. Ziam's are built for go. Give me Faraz Ziam. Look, you see both these guys on the street. You're saying this little pussy boy Ziam he's a little French bitch. Davis, he's beast boy. He's looks way more intimidating. But something tells me this is just one of those things, man. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree here. I'm going to go with Mike Davis. I think Mike Davis is a far more well-rounded fighter. Davis should be undefeated, in my opinion, my personal opinion. I think he should be undefeated. I thought he beat I thought he beat Sadiq Youssef in that fight.
I think he beat Gilbert Burns.
No, that was a very short notice fight, though. That was very, very short notice, that fight. But I thought that he beat Sadiq Youssef, but I might be completely misremembering this. But I think Mike Davis is going to go out there and he's going to win by rear naked choke on this Faraz Ziam.
Yeah, Mike Davis, one of my favorite fighters. When we first started this show, I really first started doing tape study. This guy popped off the screen to me. I mean, talk about power, speed, athleticism, toughness, wrestling. Like, he's got the entire package. Cardio. He's had a run of really bad luck as far as the injuries. So, his lack of fights here, it's not due to a lack of heart. Just got some bad luck, got some injuries. But, man, I love Mike Davis. I cannot bet against him. I never have. I never will until he proves otherwise, and he has not done so yet. I think Faraz Ziam, great young fighter, has a lot of potential. But I think coming off of that big win, I think might actually bite him in the ass going into this fight against Mike Davis, who is just, he's an unsung hero of the UFC. Like, his skills are fucking insane. Nobody knows it yet. You got to be an OG fan like us to recognize that. And he's going to put him on display, make a name for himself at 9 o'clock in the morning, and go straight for a run for the title. That's my boy, Beast Boy.
Mike Davis, 5 bags of popcorn. Instant popcorn classic.
Yes.
All right. Call me crazy. Terrence McKinney versus Damir Hadzovic. Terrence McKinney is so unlikable. I mean, this kid is such a UFC project, such a spoon-fed little fucking baby, such a crybaby.
Does too much hanging out with Kevin Holland, if you ask me.
I'll bet he voted for Kamala 100%. 7 losses. I remember there was a time when you would have thought this guy was going to be undefeated his entire career, and now he's got out here with 7 losses. UFC project failed. Busted prospect. Exposed. Hype machine and all the talent in the world, but such a little crybaby. Probably snitched on the plug. I almost guarantee he snitched on the plug. Can't even handle his mushrooms.
Oh no!
Probably got some fucking big time guilt for fucking the way that trip affected him. I mean, what was that unearthing that caused him to freak out that much? It's like, if you take psychedelic drugs and you have a bad trip, it's because you're a bad person. How about that? I said it. Yeah. Shit. I hate him, but they're giving him a guy who's 8 years older than him, a 38-year-old man in the 155-pound division with a reach disadvantage, a height disadvantage, a grappling disadvantage. I think Terrence McKinney wins by submission, but I'd love to see Damir Hadzovic go out there and fucking shin him and just fucking embarrass him. But I think, 4 years ago, Damir is not active. He hasn't fought in 2.5 years. He lost to Renato Moicano. And it was the famous fight where he was like, brother, sorry, I wanted the fight to go longer. And he's like, well, you shouldn't have submitted me then.
Best.
Yeah, I think Demir's going to get submitted here, but I'd love to see him chin Terrence McKinney. No bet for me, but the pick is Terrence McKinney by submission. Michael Chiesa and him have this in common. They get these little spoon-fed matchups.
Oh, dude, double hate for him. He's got the Michael Chiesa connection and the Kevin Holland connection. Yeah, and he stiffed us like 3 times on coming to the podcast.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that. We were like huge fans of his. We were like, I remember that video of him where it was like him down in the dumps where he was like getting arrested, and then he like turns out and he's like knocks the guy out. I'm like, this is so hype, man. This is so cool. Get him. We schedule him for the podcast. He fucking worse than our boy Eric Anders. At least Eric Anders actually showed up at his son's football game, and we were just like, nah, man, it's cool. We'll go enjoy your son's football game. Like, all good, dude. All good.
Terrence McKinney couldn't figure out Google Chrome or is a bad dude. Either one of the two. Or he just got a little publicity and acted like he don't know nobody. He went to Hollywood on us.
Yeah. I forgot he was going to do the show like 3 different times, and each time it was like, oh, I can't, I'm trying. It's not working or whatever it was. Like, no,
you had a whole promo locked and loaded for him. You were all excited to drop it right before he got on.
Yeah, I deleted that fucking shit from the media assets. I forgot. Like, I'm like, why do I hate him? And then you guys just kind of reminded me. I just hate him because he tried to dox the MMA guru, and I don't know.
He's gonna end up doxing you.
I would fucking be very pissed if he did that. You can dox me, just don't swat me. All right.
Yeah, definitely don't swat you. I'm gonna go with McKinney myself. I hate him, but I gotta pick him in this one. This isn't the nice business. This is the fight business, and I gotta pick right picks. I can't be sitting out here just picking against the guy because I don't like him personally, because I have a personal vendetta against him and wish bad things upon him, but only wish them. I don't hope them.
Oh man. I got a triple P certified as well, but
encourage them. Yes,
Guys,
when Drew Dober knocked him out, I relished that moment. So,
how about the Ribovich knockout? That was
insane. That
was even worse.
I'll tell you what. There's not many fighters I love watching getting knocked out more than him.
I love it.
He lost a grappling match by crossface. How the fuck does that? Did he get knocked out in a grappling match even before the knockout against Ribovich? That's great.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Where I'm from, the OGs have where their eyes are supposed to be white, they're fucking red because they don't fucking give a fuck about a crossface. Broken blood vessels in the eye.
That's nutty. I've never heard of anybody losing via crossface. But one of my friends in high school lost via bar arm. He got double bar armed and then he verbally tapped in the wrestling match. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Damn, that's
shout out to him. Not a good guy.
Damn. I'll do McKinney as well. I'll keep this brief. Completely unbettable at -345, knowing what we know about him tapping the cross faces and getting knocked out left and right. So, but the thing is, like, he has every advantage against a guy who wasn't even all that good. Like, in his prime, he's like an okay fighter, and he's 8 years older. Like, he's gonna be so much faster and stronger, and advantages all over the place. But that being said, completely unbettable at -345.
Oh, the Ishmael Bonfim knockout on him, the flying knee, that was epic too. That was awesome.
Very Johnny Walker is our friend here.
Yeah,
Sean
at
Woodson
lightweight.
knocked him out of the Contender Series with a flying
Huh?
knee. Sean Woodson knocked him out with a flying knee on the Contender Series.
Oh gosh, that's
So
awesome.
He's been knocked out a few times.
Most of the time he loses, it's by knockout, I believe. Yes, 5 of his 7 losses are by knockout, 2 by sub. He has never won or lost by decision in his entire career. Exciting fighter.
It could be one of those fights that goes the distance just because, like, it could be one of those situations where he's like, I'm coming in to win. I need to win, and I'm going to fight smart. And my coaches have been working with me on this, and they want me to go 3 rounds. And this, I don't know.
Could be. but it's never happened before. But usually that's when things like this happen. When it's like, oh, this guy Max Holloway never gets knocked out. This guy never goes to decision. This guy is never seen past the first round.
He's due for one. He's due for
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
agree.
Next, we have a fat guy fight. Shamil Gaziv versus Thomas Pedersen. Thomas Pedersen has that loss against Jamal Pogues, but he's got a win against Mo Usman. I have a lot of respect for Mo Usman. He's
Don't you love how the cards work where like a guy who has beaten the guy is lower on the card than this Thomas Pedersen?
yeah, it is interesting like how they do that. Well, it also goes, well, I think it's more like they're trying to promote Gaziv here. But here's what I say. -3. Cody Safdik's voice is ringing in my head. Shamil Gaziv? You're telling me that Shamil Gaziv is -390? Shamil Gaziv?
Who
I'm
retired against Jairzinho Rosenstruck.
Yeah.
Let's not forgot.
I'm taking Pedersen here. I mean, the odds are just in a heavyweight fight when you got one guy with 5 years. He's 5 years younger. Thomas Pedersen, I think he's a pretty good wrestler too, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going with Thomas Pedersen plus 300. I can't justify going the other way with Gaziv. He's shown nothing. He's not that good. Dontel Mays stinks. Jairzinho Rosenstrike made him quit on his fucking stool, embarrassed him. Yeah, I'm going Thomas Pedersen.
Damn, you stole my thunder here. I thought I was coming in with a hot take with the plus 300. Thomas Peterson. Completely agree because Gaziv. What did I say?
No, I
was just laughing because Luca's been saying Pedersen, and it's made me say Pedersen,
and it's so obviously Peterson.
Oh, you meant that like unironically, like
I don't even know anymore.
I thought you were joking.
Kind of like how we
know.
thought for like 3 of Jamal Hill's first fights that it was Jamahal Hill.
Dude, my wife's like Jamahal Hill. Like she reads like unironically. And I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, yeah, right. Like it's looks like that's how it really, like I don't know why it's so crazy to think it has an H in it. Like I don't know.
Yeah. All right, Dan, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Gaziv kind of like a one-hitter quitter, but I feel like he will fade out in rounds 2 through 3. And Peterson is just a guy that won't quit. He's going to be all over him, smothering him, dirty boxing up against the cage. I think this is a fight for Gaziv to lose. You know, he's got the speed, the power. He's got the show, not the go, but not even really all that much show. Kind of doesn't look that great either. So I'll take the guy that, you know, he lives in the being ugly. He lives in the sloppiness, lives in the muck. So give me Peterson here, plus 300. I think this is going to be the shocker of the card.
Give me Shamil Gaziv. You guys are foolish. Don't let the odds scare you away. He's going to end up winning this fight. You just got to see the writing on the walls on some of this stuff. The beard's important, guys. I've seen it too many times. Aljamain Sterling won that last fight. I don't care what anybody says. Movsar Evelev lost that fight against Aljamain Sterling. And the beard had a lot to do with it. It's an extra 3 points. You might as well take him. I'm going with Shamil Gaziev.
Let me go first on this next one, and then last on the one after that, so I can run up and grab another drink. Muhammad Naimov, the Hillman, is going to stomp Can O'Flea. He's going to stomp this guy. Muhammad Naimov by finish. Muhammad Naimov by whatever he wants. Muhammad Naimov emphatically. Parlay pillar Muhammad Naimov. Bet it all on Muhammad Naimov. I love these Tajiki guys. I love Tajikistan. I love Muhammad Naimov. I love Muin Gafarov. I love Lukey Raidzabov. I love all the Tajik fighters. They call me the Tajik boy. Muhammad Naimov emphatically by finish.
Yeah, Can looks like a Turkish leprechaun or something. I don't know what to make of him, but I'm gonna go with Naimov as well. He's got the UFC experience as far as being in the win column and a little bit of adversity in these fights, and I think he's going to get the job done as well.
I didn't watch this past season of The Ultimate Fighter, so I don't really know too much about this Can O'Leafy guy, O'Feely. Ofli. Okay. Ovely? I don't know.
Of the flea.
I'm going with Naimov. He's an animal. Hope he doesn't gas. I think this Khan Ofli guy, if I remember, he might be a wrestler. I don't know. I really don't know anything about him. I'm going with Naimov. It's better to love the devil you know than the devil you don't, or something like that. The devil I know is better than 2 in one hand and 3F in another. Next up, we got Ikram Aleskarov versus Andre Muniz, which is the name that I always think Luke is talking about with Cody Savdik, where he's like, Andre Muniz? But that's the one that I thought it was. I'm going with Aleskarov on this one. I think Andre Muniz, he's old, he's slow. I mean, he definitely has a path to victory in this fight. It's through the ground. I'm not going to really hold too much against Ikram for losing that fight against Robert Whittaker. It was on relatively short notice, I believe, like a week or something of that nature. So give me Aleskarov. He's going to get right here. He's only 32. I mean, oh, wow. Am I getting him confused with another one of these guys? There's a lot of these guys.
We're getting so inundated with all these guys. Like, I don't mean to be like, whatever, but it's like, how much do we have to pander to this region of the world? I got to watch these fights at 9:00 in the morning. Like, they don't speak my language. Like, I thought this was an American company. Just because these like Saudi princes threw you a couple billies doesn't mean it's no longer an American company. It should be pandered to me, the American consumer. Sorry. That's why I didn't watch this past weekend. Like, every fucking card is just like, oh, we got Gadzaminov Ukabukabak from where I've heard of, and I'm supposed to be invested. Like, part of this is like reality television. You're supposed to be invested in these guys. You're supposed to be interesting. Like, oh gosh, you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
I love all humans, but like, oh, what are we doing?
I'm just sick of getting them all confused with one another. Half of them have the same name. Half of them have the same exact name. And it's just I can't do it. But I guess people
as a consumer to be apathetic. Like, I'm supposed to hate them or love them. That'll get me to watch. But I can't even differentiate the two of them. They have the same fucking name. Go ahead, Alex. I'm taking up too much airtime.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with Aleskarov here. I think I'm getting him confused with somebody else. Isn't he the guy who fought Robert Whittaker? I thought he was a lot younger. He came in on super short notice to fight Robert Whittaker. He was supposed to fight the 3 different guys in the span of a week. Andre Muniz, Turkali, and then it ended up being Whittaker. Big step up in competition. I think he gets the jump on Andre Muniz. Luke, I thought that was the one that Cody Saftik always says. Andre Muniz?
Well, it sounds like Gaziv.
But Dan, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, I'll take Aleskarov as well. Another situation guy coming off a loss, has a lot to prove. He's fighting on his home turf, and he's going up against a guy who is a jiu-jitsu practitioner, which is long gone in the UFC, and for good reason. So last I checked, he's minus 600. Kind of unbettable, although I really don't think he loses in any circumstance. Like, he's not getting armbarred by freaking Andre Muniz. But that being said, it's like, whatever, no value.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going with Aleskarov. I mean, if he gets fraud checked by Muniz, that's a lot different than getting fraud checked by Whittaker. You know what I mean? But we saw what Hamzat did to Whittaker. This is one of them striking Russians, though, not really much of a submission guy, Aleskarov. So I think he can do to Muniz what Paul Craig did to him. Get the knockout.
Sweet. Next up, we got Nurmagomedov versus Oliveira. I said Nurmagomedov, but it's not the one you're thinking of. It's said Nurmagomedov. Mm-hmm. And Vinicius Oliveira. I'm going to go with Vinicius Oliveira here. I think he's going to be able to keep him off him. He's a very long guy. Long guys are hard to take down for a lot of people. Said is more striking oriented than the other Dagestanis, if I remember correctly. But like Dan and I said, you can't. I don't know any of these guys from Adam. They all look the same to me. They've all got the same style, except for like 4 of them kick a lot instead. But yeah, I'm going with Veniscus on this one. I think he's got what it takes to irk out a decision. I mean, it's going to be hard getting a decision with these home books. They cook the books, but I think Veniscus will be able to steal it. Give me Veniscus Oliveira.
Yeah, I like the line on either side, really. But Guillotine is kind of this guy's...
You're not guillotining Veniscus Oliveira. He's not going to go for a takedown.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I'm going to go with Oliveira, too.
This is a tough one. Tough to differentiate these two. They're both kind of similar, although like different striking styles, but they're both wild boys. Nurmagomedov will do a lot of spinning stuff, put himself in weird positions, and Vinicius, I don't think he's going to be spinning as much as more up and down Muay Thai, but he charges forward. He'll, take one to give two, that kind of deal. To me, if it's an even fight, I'm going to go with home cooking here. And for the sake of the show, also split the atom and not have it Triple P certified in what should be a close fight. I think, I'm not doing it just for the sake of not Triple P certifying. I think it's a slight edge to Sade. And again, I think home cooking in a pretty even fight will win the day for him. So go with Sade.
All right. Next, we got Sergey Pavlovich. You know what? The previous fight, I will say, Oliveira was losing to Sopaj first 2 rounds and then knocked him out viciously in the third. I do see it being a close fight, and I do kind of agree with the home cooking kind of element, but they do bring the judges in from all over the place. Like, it could very well be Doug Crosby.
But they want to get back to where they were, Luke. They want to go home. Okay.
Can I say one thing? The judging on the last card, fucking spotless. Absolutely fucking spotless. And Chris Lieben.
Somebody gave Merab the first round.
Chris Lieben was one of the judges.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think whatever they had going for the LA card, there was a lot of decisions. Thought they got them all right. Had a lot of opportunities to screw the pooch. Big favorite. A lot of opportunities where you would think, oh, they're going to give this to Peyton Talbot. Oh, they're going to give this to Umar Nurmagomedov. And they didn't. Simple as that. So, yeah, I gotta just say the judging was good last weekend. Sergey Pavlovich, it's pretty bad that like one time in my life I've been able to say that. It's almost like it proves the point that like one time I've been able to be like the judges was good. Sergey Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. What do you guys think about this one?
I think this is a get right fight for our guy Pavlovich. I mean, he hasn't necessarily had the most success in the last few fights. I think this is a get right fight for a lot of these Russian guys who, didn't have the best of luck. I don't care what anybody says. Who's the Russian guy who got robbed in his last fight against? What's his name? Alexander Volkov. Alexander Volkov is a tough out for anybody in the heavyweight division, apart from maybe, Tom Aspinall and John Jones. I mean, I think fucking Alexander Volkov is probably the hardest fight for John Jones, apart from Tom Aspinall. I'm gonna go with Sergey Pavlovich. He's gonna get right here. What are the odds at? -245. That's a great line for Pavlovich versus Rozenstruik. I think Rozenstruik will be looking for a way out, and Sergey Pavlovich can take this fight wherever he wants.
But isn't it crazy that the line was closer for Tom Aspinall?
What happened?
When Sergey fought Tom Aspinall, the line was closer
Mm-hmm.
in an uncompetitive fight. When he fought Volkov, he was the favorite. He lost. I mean, I agree with like my logical brain is like, yeah, Alex is correct here. Pavlovich, but I'm remembering the scary monster that Pavlovich was 2 fights ago. I'm not living in the present moment, which is Jairzinho looks really good. I know it says split decision against Tai Tuivasa. That was no split decision. He beat the ever-living fuck out of Tai Tuivasa, and that was like one of the most controversial calls in recent memory. I'm going to go with Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and really, I know I'm picking a lot of underdogs, but a lot of them are very slight underdogs for 2 weeks before the fight. These lines could flip, and I just think that you got to reward good behavior, and you got to look at it like it's going to be a striking match. Alex, you're the one who always says, how many fucking striking kickboxing matches does Rozenstruik have?
Like 100.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's a kickboxing match, and one guy has muscles so big he can't even really throw a punch. He got knocked out by a fucking jiu-jitsu guy in Tom Aspinall. And he got outstruck by a long-rangey kickboxer. This is a long-rangey kickboxer. He's not a wrestling Russian. So how does he fucking win? I mean, it's a heavyweight fight. Anything can happen. Anybody can shin anybody, but don't show me the line. Tell me who do you think is going to win. I'm kind of inclined, especially off recent performances, to go with Jairzinho.
I agree. I think Pavlovich has just been living off the fact that he's bigger guy, longer guy, and a lot of power, just knocking dudes out. I know he wants to get right, but is he going to learn how to like have 100 kickboxing fights like Jairzinho has, like we just talked about? I think, skill for skill, we got to go with Jairzinho here. I think he's coming into his own and like figuring out how to last in these fights and be like, all right, like I don't have to like get a knockout here. I know I'm the kickboxing guy. It's kind of like, kind of put upon me. Like I'm supposed to be the big scary knockout guy, but like I could just like make this fight last a little bit longer, find my range, get some leg kicks going and just outlast these dudes. And then, pick my time and knock the mouth off fighters like the Overeem fight. So that's what I see here. Again, sure, Pavlovich can get the knockout, of course, but the line for me is Jairzinho all day, plus 250, whatever he's at. Sounds great to me.
All right, next up, Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page. I'm going to do it. I'm taking Michael Venom Page. I think he's a better fighter. I think he's a better striker. He's got both of his eyes. There's nothing that's going to catch him off guard. Every time I've seen Magomedov fight, I haven't necessarily been the most impressed. I think Michael Venom Page goes out there, schools him. He might be older, but he's bigger, longer, and I feel like that's something that not many of Shara Magomedov's opponents can say, at least the ones that I've seen. So I'm going to go with Michael Venom Page, and he uses his distance super well. I think this is going to be a clean fight. If I were him, I'd only go for the bad eye. Can't see it coming, of course. Michael Venom Page all the way.
If you look at the last performance of Shara, he had that very unpredictable knockout. Historically, when Michael Venom Page has lost, it's been these kind of weird, unpredictable, like the Lima fight comes to mind, unpredictable kind of weird knockout. Some of Michael Page's style might leave him open to a chaotic moment. So if Shara Bullet gets some kind of crazy, spectacular knockout to a 37-year-old, I'm not entirely surprised. But I agree with everything you're saying. I think Michael Venom Page, he wears 37 really, really well. This other guy has his own disadvantages that don't include age, but like you said, he's got one eye. I do see the writing on the wall here. Who did Shara call out in his last fight? Izzy. Who, we'll get to that fight in a second, but if Izzy loses, who do they put him in against? He's kind of has to take a Shara fight at that point. You know what I mean? If Shara wins and Izzy loses, I can see that happening. But I'm a big fan of Michael Venom Page. I thought he fought Ian Gary really well. He's supposed to be the striker. He ended up, I think, winning the striking battle pretty handedly with Ian Gary. It was lost on the ground. Shara is terrible on the ground. I think Michael Venom Page is better on the ground than Shara is better on the ground. So I'm going to go with Michael Venom Page too. More of a hopeful pick than I like the line. I like the fighter. I think he's got a lot of ways to win. Anything can happen if it gets chaotic. If Michael Venom Page gets a little overconfident, I could see him getting caught. But I think fight, I'm going to go with Michael Venom Page too.
I'm going to go with Shara here. Not crazy about it, but I don't think I'm valuing Page as much as you guys. Maybe just a dip below. to me, it's like, not too long ago, he's fighting bare knuckle. He lost to Mike Perry. I know it's like a different sport or whatever, but it's a fight. And I don't think Mike Perry, I know he's the king of bare knuckle, but like, Michael Page is supposed to be this guy that's like the master of range and, such a great striker. He's got the Taekwondo background and all that. And you're losing in a striking match against Mike Perry. I don't think that's going to bear well for him against a guy like Shara, who, again, he definitely has his disadvantages, but I don't think Page is the guy to really capitalize on him. To me, like, Shara is going to lose against a guy that's going to bring the fight to him, have a lot of volume, don't let him breathe, up in his face, maybe mix in some wrestling. And that's just the complete opposite style of Page here. So matchup-wise, I like Shara. His day will come, but not to Michael Page. Bit of a serve-up job.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a serve job, I think. But it's not, I don't know. Yeah.
No, Kevin Holland would be a
grappling
serve-up
matches
job.
against Carlos Condit. Get real.
But Mike Perry did also beat Eddie Alvarez in bare knuckle boxing. Eddie Alvarez beat Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler beat Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker beat Mateus Gamrot.
Damn.
So
That's some Einsteinian MMA math right there. Look at you.
Yeah, I agree with everything you both are saying. This fight just comes down to how it plays out. I mean, I think both guys possess the ability to win and lose this fight. I think Michael Venom Page could put himself in a bad spot with the way that he fights. It's always going to be risky when you fight with your hands down. Shara did pull off an amazing out of nowhere spinning back fist knockout, but it's against Petrosian. Petrosian, I think you put him in there with Michael Page styles on him, So, and Petrosian had some successful moments in that fight too. It's a tough one. It's a real tough one. It really depends on how it plays out. There's nothing you could say one way or the other that would lean you to say this guy is this much significantly better in this area. Like both of them are competent, really good, gifted strikers in different ways. Neither have a big grappling advantage. It just comes down to who executes their game plan. I think Page focuses, locks in, and has surprised some people with some of his performances in the UFC. So I'd like to see Michael Venom Page fight Kevin Holland again and beat him up.
I'd like to see Shara Bullet fight Kevin Holland because I think Shara Bullet could win that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I smoked 15 blunts today.
Oh my gosh, dude. Are you? Yeah, crazy.
You might have a fucking problem.
Yeah. He was like, I smoke a blunt every time I play a game of 2K. I play a game of 2K. I smoke the whole blunt while I'm playing. And then I roll another one and smoke it again in between games.
I mean, 15 blunts is insanely bad for your fucking lungs.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's dedication.
Yeah, I mean, that is crazy. That's like, we get it, smoking weed's cool, but that's like a fucking problem. That's like a go to rehab.
I agree.
I mean, I think 5 blunts a day is a little excessive.
You're going to get CTE smoking that many blunts.
So much.
5 blunts a day is pretty excessive. Like, I think 1 blunt a day is a little crazy. Like, I mean, it's also just not economic.
Yeah, like after 2, you're not getting more high.
After 2 hits, you're not getting more high.
Right, yeah.
Like, just rip the bong. Like, get a bong. You know what I mean? You're saving a lot of money that way.
Foolish.
Fair enough. He's got it like that. Fighting 6 times a year, but only getting 1 check. I mean,
you could fight 3, Kevin. Think about that.
you can play
Fight 3 instead of losing 6, and you got the same pay. So 2 for Page, 1 for the Bullet. That brings us to the main event. If all else fails in my night, if all else goes to shit in my night, I am the most confident pick I have is the main event, and I'm getting juicy underdog odds. I'm going with Nasruddin Imavov. I saw the training footage of Izzy. I saw the training footage of Imavov. Imavov looks more powerful, sharper, crisper, faster, everything. He's more motivated. He's underpaid. This is a must-win situation for Imavov. He has more to win, more to lose. Izzy has less to win, less to lose. That's the math here. I think it's a 5-round fight. Imavov has had some slip-ups, like that short notice Sean Strickland fight, but since then, Sean's gone on quite the run. I mean, he won the title after that. Every other opponent he has butchered. Butchered Doladeze, he butchered Cannonier, beat the fuck out of Brendan Allen. He's 7 years younger than Izzy. Izzy is 35 now and a half. So, I mean, to me, I don't care about the range of Israel Adesanya. I don't care about the fucking kung fu magic fucking anime skills. I care about what I'm seeing in the training footage on Instagram, the pad work that I'm seeing out of Imavov. I think Izzy, you could say he's got more heart in the Kevin Gastelum fight. We're a long way from Kelvin Gastelum versus Izzy Adesanya. We're a long way from that Izzy. This is the Izzy that tapped out in the fight of his life to a guy that he said this fight is to see who is really representing Africa. Like, he tapped out in that fight. He has Africa tattooed on his chest, and he tapped out to the guy after he said, loser leaves town match, pretty much. You know what I mean? And before that, loses to Strickland, who talked a massive amounts of shit to him. Finally gets right with Alex Pereira, but I mean, and that will always kind of stick out as like a crazy fact, that Izzy slept Alex Pereira in one of their fights after what Alex has done since then. So, to me, it's Imavov. It's Imavov all day, all night. Give me the fucking juice. I'll lay a big bet on him, just straight up money line, and I'll include him in every single one of my parlays and hope that at least one makes it to the final bell, because I think it's Imavov, and I'm very confident in that.
Luke, you and I are in total agreement on a bunch of dogs on this card. Love Imavov. I know what the fans, especially the OG fans, are saying. Oh, the bet man hates Israel Adesanya. He's just putting his negative bias out there. No, I'm actually looking at it from a logistical, analytical standpoint. I agree with everything Luke said as far as Imavov just on that heater, looking in his prime, fast, strong, quick twitch, picking up some tricks in the octagon here and there, getting some octagon IQ points up in those last couple of fights, and learning how to manage his cardio. He's totally within his own and ready to rock and roll. Plus, on top of that, I don't know if you guys saw Sean Strickland. He was like, "Let me tell you something, guys. People ask me how I beat Izzy Adesanya. Here's the thing: Izzy actually kind of sucks." I'm like, "Yeah, there you go. Like, that makes sense to me." He's like, I was looking and, you go back to the Kelvin Gastelum fight. He's like, I've sparred Kelvin Gastelum, but he really sucks. So the fact that he barely beat him, I was like, oh, I'm going to fucking win. So that made a lot of sense to me. And I love Imavov here. So a lot of dogs on this one that are calling my name. So I love that Luke and I, the big time money winner, are in synergy. Loving Imavov.
What do you guys think about a guy named Phil Halls? How good do you think he is at fighting?
That was so far back, dude.
How far back it was? It was only 3 years ago. You know what Izzy was? A lot of fights. Fights. He's been very active.
I've always said Phil Halls is good. I think Phil Halls is good.
Yeah. No, he's pretty good. He's either the best guy in the world. On any given night, he can be the best guy in the world or the worst fighter in the world. I love Phil Halls, though. Sorry you called us stray there, Phil.
They were both 9-2 at the time. Phil Halls' record in the UFC is 4-4. Yeah, he got beat by Roman Dolidze, Iskra Maliskarov, and Bruno Ferreira on a 3-fight losing streak recently.
All good fighters.
Really good fight. Yes.
And he chinned him in that fight.
Phil Halls didn't deserve that, guys. I'm sorry. Phil Halls did not deserve that. I take it back. I take it all back. Sometimes you get on a roll. You get on a little bit of a heater, but Izzy Adesanya, Phil Halls is not. So I'm going to go with Izzy. I think this is a big step up in competition. Brendan Allen, biggest, dumbest idiot in the freaking UFC. Yeah, I'm supposed to get jazzed up over that. I'm supposed to get jazzed up over beating a 48-year-old man who fucking worships rocks. Hell no, Jared Cannonier. And Jared Cannonier was whooping his ass in that fight, and that was a bad stoppage. So, majority decision against Roman Dolidze. And I'm pretty sure, no, that wasn't on short notice. But nonetheless, majority decision against Roman Dolidze. Barely squeaks by with Cannonier. gets dominated in the first round by Brendan Allen. And Brendan Allen, dumbest guy to ever walk into the octagon. Ends up getting beat. Worst game plan, worst clock management, worst gas tank management. You could not give a more gifted fighter a dumber brain than Brendan Allen. Yeah, but all that to say, Brendan Allen did deserve to catch that stray. Phil Halls didn't. Brendan Allen did. Izzy Adesanya is a big step up in competition. And I know he fought Sean Strickland a while back, but that was a different Sean Strickland. That was before Sean Strickland really hit that second gear and started to take out some big names. That was like fresh after the Sean Strickland knockout to Alex Pereira, if I'm remembering correctly. So I think Izzy's going to go in there. He's going to kind of style on him. He's going to win a bunch of rounds, and he's going to outpoint the fuck out of Imavov. He's going to outpoint him the entire time. There's never been a guy who can outpoint Izzy. He gets beat when he's got guys who are going to walk through everything and deal a bunch of damage, like Sean Strickland, or Sean Strickland's going to pitter patter him.
Outpointed him.
Huh?
Strickland outpointed him.
Yeah, but he knocked him down. Regardless, DDP outpowered him, beat the shit out of him. Alex Pereira outpowered him, beat the shit out of him. Those are the guys that Izzy will lose against. But any guy who's kind of got like a similar style, like a Robert Whittaker, who's going to try to outpoint you, still knock you out. I'm not saying, Robert Whittaker doesn't go for knockouts, but like a really technical striker that can keep you on the outside and kind of just out jab you and kick you like crazy. Izzy has success with. He's going to have a lot of success with Imavov. Imavov's not going to be able to get anything off. It's going to be probably the easiest money I've ever made. People are down on Izzy right now, but it's the petty king. He's the petty king. It's his first time not fighting in a title fight in like 6 years, and his last 12 fights were title bouts. So he was one of the most active champs over the last 5 years, and I think he's going to come back and make a case to fight DDP again in relatively short time.
That's crazy that his last 12 fights were title fights. That's nuts.
It's nuts.
I thought you were exaggerating, and I counted them. You're exactly right. Here's the thing. You want to talk about Phil Halls. What about Joaquin Buckley? How good does he look? He just beat Colby Covington. Granted, it's the weight class beneath. It's not middleweight. It's 170. But what do you think Buckley does against Israel Adesanya? And Imavov beat him.
I think you'd be surprised.
Okay.
I think that Israel Adesanya beats the shit out of Joaquin Buckley because Kevin Holland did. Wait, was that even really a question? Israel Adesanya is like 5 feet taller than Joaquin Buckley, and Kevin Holland was too much range, too much distance, and Imavov was too much range, too much distance. I think Imavov is going to get cleaned by Izzy Adesanya.
You're thinking, everything you've said is about the past. You're not even aiming where they are. You're aiming where they've been. I'm aiming where they're going to be. And I don't just point and shoot.
Izzy Adesanya looked pretty good against DDP.
I go over my line. I don't just point and shoot. I aim and fire. Down the barrel. Headshot. Deadpool. Sakura. Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, shit.
No.
How do you think Izzy would do against Jordan Williams? How about that?
Listen, keep Jordan Williams and his pancreas out of this, okay? Nobody needs to talk about Jordan Williams or his pancreas. We can't have any more of these guys that are kind of on the down and down, like catching strays. Like we don't want to punch down around here. We want to punch up.
No, I was beefing him up. I'm saying, how would Izzy do against Jordan fucking Williams? Not good.
Where does Jordan Williams fit into this, though?
Beat him. That was his first UFC win.
Well, you guys are crazy. You guys are going to lose your money on this one, and it's going to be like very one-sided too. It's not even going to be close. You're not even going to be in this fight for a second. It's going to be like Peter Yan versus whoever he just fought, where we were all over it, and then Peter Yan just absolutely trashed him.
We'll see. Hey, I guess we'll find out Saturday night. I guess we'll find out Saturday afternoon.
I love it.
All right. With that, let's go through the full picks, cut top to bottom. I'll go first because I got to get this ready for action.
All right, I got Adesanya, Michael Venom Page, Sergey Spivak, Viniscus Oliveira, Ikram Aleskarov, Muhammad Naimov, Shamil Gaziev, Terrence McKinney, Mike Davis, Jazzy Judavicius, Bogdan Grad, Hamdi Al-Dawabi, Al Sawadi. Two different guys. But this will be the night of the get right fight. You can see I got a lot of guys coming off losses. They're all gonna get right on that eve or morning.
Dan, you go ahead.
All right, I got Balaji Oki. I got Jamal Pose, Bogdan Rod, Jasmine Jazduvicius, Mike Davis, Terrence McKinney. My shit just froze. Hold up. Thomas Peterson, Muhammad Naimov, Ikram Alaskarov, Said Nurmagomedov, Jairzinho Rosenstrike, Shar Magomedov, and Nazardine Imavov.
Alex, did you take Said Nurmagomedov?
No, I did not, sir. I took Viniscus Oliveira.
And so did I there, I think. And we all took Jairzinho except Alex. You took Sergey, right?
Yes, sir.
Sergey. Yes, Sergey. And then we both were on Michael Page, and me and Dan were on Imavov. Alex on these ones. Okay, so if you're going with me, Nazardine Imavov, Michael Venom Page, Jairzinho Rosenstrike, Vinicius Oliveira, Ikram Alaskarov, that's Trophy certified, Muhammad Naimov, that's Trophy certified. Sorry. Come on, what the hell? Why is Sorry about that. Muhammad Naimov, that's Trophy certified. Thomas Peterson, Terrence McKinney, that sadly is Trophy certified. Faraz Ziam, Jasmine Judavicius, that's Trophy certified. Bogdan Grad, Trophy certified. Hamdi Alab Sawabli, Balaji Oki. So those are my picks top and bottom. Trophy certified picks are Ikram Alaskarov, Muhammad Naimov, Terrence McKinney, Jasmine Judavicius, and Bogdan Grad. 5 Trophy certified picks. Thank you, everybody. I will be posting this link and the picks and the link to the open bet sheet in the Patreon. Please get over to the Patreon, subscribe there. I think we're going to be soon moving over. I've applied for YouTube partner, so if we get that, we'll probably move over to some sort of membership model and delete the Patreon, but that won't be for a while. It says it takes at least a month to process that, and we may not even get it. So we will see, but get into the Patreon now. We'll probably just keep the Patreon because I don't know if you can make the YouTube membership so that you get a link to something if you're a member. I'm not really sure how it would work that. So might just have to keep the Patreon up so you can have access to that open bet sheet link. Get to the Patreon. All the picks are listed out nice and neat for you. Google sheet stock with all the picks listed out, plus our open bet sheet where I posted $2,000+ in winnings last weekend in bets that I placed that you could have tailed. Could have faded Alex and Dan. You would have won even more. And then, yeah, just that. Thank you for joining the show. Give us a like. Give us the watch hours. Give us the comments. Give back to the show. We need your help. We need to reach and breach the algorithm. This is a break week episode. No one else is giving you any content this week. Here we go. We're here for you. Share the video with your friends who also like UFC sports betting content. Share the video. Do whatever you can. Help us grow the channel. And that's that. That's it. That's that. And that's all. We love you folks. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Happy Trump Inauguration Day. Happy break week to the UFC. Happy birthday to me. Planets are aligning. Going to be a good little week off. I'm 3 weeks sober, off the booze. So dry January. It's almost over. I think we're going to keep it rolling. I think we're going to make it dry most of 2025 because I got to think the sobriety, the lucidity played a role in my excellent decision-making skills this weekend and led to me making a lot of money.
You all hand you checks. Bing, 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 bing.
Bing, 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 bing. Thank you for joining the show. Any final words, boys?
Nah, let's keep up our winning ways.
Let's go, baby. And go Birds.